this side, do you see where this would be looped over? Here, right? So when I'm giving leash pressure, it would be a little weird. It would be getting caught on that. When he's right here and I give leash pressure and release it, there's no folding over. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we want it to be up high. Kitties are perfect, right? So it's like right behind their big noggin. And we want it to be tight enough to keep it up here, but not tight where it's tight the whole time, right? Like I said, they're communicating with pressure and release. If this was tight, the pressure is always on. That's just telling him that I'm communicating something with him and I'm actually not. I'm just standing here. When it's a little bit looser, I can take the pressure off, right? So we want it to be up here. A couple finger lengths is usually good, so I can put pressure on and take it off, if that makes sense. So for him, pressure free right now, if I was sitting here holding this leash tight, he'd be thinking I'm trying to say something to him, which is just going to make it more confusing when I actually am putting pressure on to communicate something to him, right? Because it's happening all the time. So I'm always going to want to turn him. It's important that I'm not pulling him, right? I'm showing him with leash pressure where I want him to go. I can give him little bumps, but I want him to decide to come to me so he understands what I'm asking. If I'm just yanking him around all the time, he's not understanding what's happening. Same with if I want him to stop, I'm just going to hold up. And when he does what I want, I'm going to put the pressure off. So I'm communicating to him with pressure. The other thing I'm going to want from him a little bit is I want to be a little bit relevant to him. Meaning, he needs to kind of understand that I'm leading the show here so that when we're going on this treadmill, he's like looking at me for some guidance. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to walk around, and when he gets in front of me on the leash, I'm going to turn and go the other way. I'm not going to wait for him, I'm just going to turn and go the other way. And eventually, he's going to be like, what are you doing? And naturally, he's going to look to me. I'm not going to use words or noises because I want him to organically decide, what is this person doing? I need to look to her, and then I'll show him what I'm doing. And then we'll have a little bit more of an attachment, right? It's a little bit more organic and natural that way. He already picked it up really fast, so it'll probably be quick, but I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm just going to use this space to walk back and forth in, and he gets in front of me, turn it, and go the other way. Super simple. The other thing to keep in mind is when you turn and go the other way, having your hands by your core here is going to be a lot easier than if you have your hand out, because if he pulls, you can naturally give. Remember when I was saying we want to be like a tree? When I'm like this and I turn, that's it. It's not like my arm, especially some dogs are going to be really strong. This is just a lot easier for you to keep the strength. So I'm going to go. He's in front of me, I'm turning and I'm going the other way. That's all I'm going to do. You see, he's going to start looking at me. Like, what are we doing? And I'm just going to mark it a little bit for him. Nice. I'm going to shorten the leash so that it's a little bit more of a quick turn for him. There we go. Picking it up. That's nice. Nice. This is all I need. I just want him to know that I'm doing something with him. Just want him to walk on. We don't ever want him to walk off the front because then they know that they can do that. So I'm going to guide them to turn. Nice. Good boy. Nice. That's nice. Boy. Let's go.
Now, if the dog was really didn't want to step on the treadmill, you could do two things. Use a little bit of leash pressure to encourage him to move. But if they're really, really freaked out, I would just let them sniff around for a little bit. Engage with the treadmill. Don't ask too much of them. You can try some treats if they're willing to take some food. But we want this to be a positive experience. So if the dog immediately off the bat is not doing that, let's slow down in that moment and make this really positive. Because if we start off with it being oh, I'm really scared of that, and then we're just moving too fast through all the steps, the dog's really not going to feel that good about it. So if he were to have hesitated and been really freaking out, just take a step back, grab some treats, just hang out around the treadmill. Like, it doesn't need to be day one, they get on and they're walking and everything's cool.
That's nice. So he feels really good about this. I'm still going to turn it on so he can just kind of get the idea. The nice thing about dog taste is they don't beat. So dogs don't like cue it. Otherwise you got to kind of work the noise a little bit for some of them. So we're just going to introduce treats and let him kind of get the idea and notice that this is moving.
I love how he looked at it when it started going on. He was like, wait a second.
I'm going to let him do this because it's big.
Wow.
That's a good boy. That's a good boy. So he feels good about this, right? So we're just going to go ahead and give it a shot. We'll turn it off. We're just going to start back over. Step on. Good boy. He's used to stopping here. That's great. I usually will loop this around just to help me use the leash without me being super close to a dog. This is the part that's really important about making sure that some other people that are a little bit more familiar with reading the dog is picking who goes on here. If you pick a dog that's super freaked out and you put them on here and they freak out, they could use their mouth, right? They don't have the option to flight here, so they can go into fight. So we want to make sure it's a dog that isn't prone to go that way. Or if they are, please throw a muzzle on them. We just don't want to set ourselves up to have a dog get a bite on the record, basically. So I'm not worried about him. I'm also, and this is important, whoever's doing it needs to feel that way, right? Yeah. Just because Megan's good with a dog and not worried about it, if someone else is nervous about him, he's going to feel that. So you got to feel good about it. Like if he's flying around, I'm going to use my body to block him. I have a plan in my mind. I'm not worried about it at all. So that's my energy for him. He's also like rocking this right now, so that's great. I'm just going to loosen this a little bit. I want him to feel like pressure free on here. We're going to give it a go. And if he starts to go back, right, I'm just going to give him some leash pressure so he understands I need him to come forward. There we go. It's important that you hold it though. If I let him go back, he's going to keep trying to go back. With him, I would say, I can tell already, like he's kind of bullheaded. He's a bit, he doesn't surprise me. Most of them are like, I'll die, like they don't care. So some of them you need to just do little bumps to remind him, like come this way, but like let the pressure come off for a second so he understands you're saying something. Instead of just like, I'll just decapitate myself. So he is a dog, if you can tell, he needs to go a little bit faster. This is a little bit too slow for him, right? So we're gonna go up to, we'll do 0.9. He just needs to understand that we're asking him to walk. You want to always kind of stay in this sweet spot of their neck being right behind this bar. This is just going to help him understand that like the boundary is he cannot go to the back. Like I want him to just kind of hang here, which eventually is going to be because we can easily take two slip leads, put one on this side, loop one over his neck, put one on this side, and then he can't go off either side. Right? We still got to be here to make sure he's okay, right? We can't just leave him. But this is how you get them to start being really comfortable so that down the road, these are super helpful, but you know, sometimes doctors knock them right off. So we just want him to understand that like, you'll see like pressure will go on when he slows down and he's going to want to come back to where there's no pressure. Okay.
And again, if he didn't have the foundational concept of that prior to, that might be not as obvious.
He's just gonna like he'll learn it, but it's gonna learn it more stressful, right? We're just trying to be more fair. And again, it wasn't like it took a lot there. He just needs to just get it.
Are we gonna get better slip leads?
So those are $40 a pop, which granted they're guaranteed for life.
You guys could get a wholesale account.
I guess
With
$600 to spend.
With a tax
Talk to
identification
Madison.
number as a business, you get them wholesale. I think they're like $15.
Talk to Madison.
Well, none
And
of
the
you guys
guys-
have them chewed
Because
up,
this
like
right
they're just
here
like
is
replaced.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
component.
Yeah.
We just don't have slip leads that work.
We'll be
with it.
sending
Well,
like
it's important
boxes
to
of
have
them
a
back
good
a
stopper,
week.
too, especially the strong dogs if you're going to use them.
They're worth it.
Because if they're slipping up and they can get out, it's just dangerous. The cool thing about these, the guy that makes them, he warranties them for life. So if a dog chews it, you get another one, like forever. Even if your dog, all they do is chew, he does not care.
Okay. Good boy.
This is very nice. I'm going to speed up a little bit and just change it up. The other thing we do with dogs here is when they get used to this, we just change the whole thing of like working the treadmill is just like giving him variations. So we're going to go a little bit faster, we're going to slow down, we might go for a little trot, then we're going to go for a slow walk. You're just changing it up a little bit. There's actually programs on here that you can use. Program 1 is probably the only one I would use here. Program 2 and 3 can get a little bit fast.
I would not recommend doing the programs unless you have a dog who
They have to
has,
be like good.
No, like they need to be good, but they also need to be good at higher speeds, and they need to be okay with changing speeds like randomly. So
Don't
like
even, starting out, don't.
no, absolutely
No, no,
not.
yes.
It would be like if you guys had a dog here for like a long time who has been on this a lot. You guys have like played around with speeds a lot. And even then, some dogs can still get a little bit like freaked out by the speed changes at first, so you always have to be like with them.
And you'll be able to tell because if you have the slip lead on here, right, and he's doing this whatever speed it is, and he's back here, you gotta slow it down, right? If he's like at the end of his leash, it's too much for him. So you can just pop it down a little bit. You just want him to kind of hang here, where it's like loose and he's just hanging out. That's our goal.
One other thing that is going to be helpful and important with the treadmill is let dogs go out to go to the bathroom before they get on, and especially when we're first teaching them things, we want to be mindful that like this is a little bit stressful, right? Like it's a new thing, new things cause a little bit of stress, so that most dogs, they're going to need a potty break fairly quickly into the session, so just be mindful of that and like be watching what their butt is doing.
We have a thing where we say we know buttholes, and this is why, because we're always like, it's a poop, you know, we can just tell.
Do you guys think that it works best if we take them out and give them a quick play session, train session, walk and do this, or do we bring them straight out from a potty to a
I mean, it depends on the dog, and
Yeah.
honestly, yeah, I mean, if it's a dog who's super, like, tense and nervous and a playgroup helps them, it's going to be a little bit easier for you, but it's not the end of the world. So this is great. You can see the way he's holding his tail, it's not tucked under him, right? So he's feeling good. It's not too up high, like tail flag, like super nervous. His body is kind of slithering like a snake on here while he's walking, so he's comfortable. And if you look at his feet, they're not like super splayed. The other thing you can look at is his tongue. So if his tongue is out but tipped up, triangled up, right, like on the sides and then flicked up, this is a stress pant. The more loose the tongue, the more comfortable he is while he's panting. So this is telling me he did not pee.
Probably is going to need to go to the bathroom.
I mean, I tried, but he didn't.
Because you see too, he's a little bit like at the front of the treadmill, just kind of like looking to see if there's a way he can get off.
So you're noticing, you're picking
Yeah,
that
so
up.
I would be aware of that and just, you know, be like, okay, he's been on here for 6 minutes. That's, you know, a decent amount of time for a dog who's doing his first time in learning. So, you know, I would just be like, okay, pretty soon here, I'd pick a good moment. Not when he's at the front of the treadmill trying to get off, but like when he's back here like this, like he's vibing, he's like,
So
I
I'm
feel
gonna start
good.
to slow him down a little.
We'll go ahead and kind of end it there on like a good note when he's feeling good, when he's in a spot we want him, and then, you know, take him off, give him a break. It's a lot of mental work to walk on a treadmill, so like 6 minutes might not seem like a lot, but it is a lot for the dogs,
You
right?
can just tell, like.
It's a lot for their brain.
Yeah.
So huge for
But I mean, you see like his state of mind here, like this panting, all of this is working his brain so much, and we're barely doing anything with his body. This is so much better than like a crazy walk of him yanking people around and just like scanning and wanting to be like overly engaged the whole time. This is really tapping in. It's like karate versus Chuck E. Cheese for a kid, right? So we're trying to do it more.
One ever running at the same time? Or
We have like
separate
8
rooms, or?
Yeah,
all
we
in the
have-
same room.
Yeah.
Go on their social media
Yeah,
and
we
you'll
have-
see.
Okay.
We have them all lined up.
So we can build into this. If
Oh,
you really
sure.
feel like
Yeah,
we
sure. space them out, and especially if you have dogs that like do well in a play group, it's super cool for dogs to like work together before they play together. So getting them to like do like a nice walk like this and then go play is going to be like a better and more natural stepping stone for them.
How cool would that be to go do this and then take these guys out, y'all? Oh my gosh.
So he's doing really good with me slowing him down, so I'm going to stop him. Now how we end it is just as important as how we begin it. So I'm prepared that if he was going to jump off of here, I was already grabbing this leash just in case. I want to end this really nice. So we're just going to give him a minute to sit here. I don't want him to think that the minute this turns off, we're just out of here, right? Like we don't want to bolt off or flight off. Dogs just work in patterns. So if the pattern is this stops, I get off right away, that's what they're going to expect each time. And it's not fair for us to be like, stop doing that if we keep showing them that's what we want them to do. We're just trying to be more fair. So I'm going to get him to just kind of hang. Some dogs, if you've got the time, getting them to just lay down on here naturally is perfect. That's always great. We have a lot of dogs that just go, they treat them like a play sport. They just go lay on them. But I want him to hang. So one thing I noticed is I was kind of showing him he was a good boy, right? I was patting him, but then he was trying to like come off the side. So I stopped that. I went the front instead. I just be cognizant of what your affection is doing to the dog. It was just amping him up too much, and it's not fair to him because I'm trying to get him to calm down. So I took it away, and that's fine. He knows he's a good boy because I feel like he's a good boy, so he feels that. Yes. So this is good. I'm going to ask him to come off. Let's go. Good boy. That's all we need.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody want to take him out to potty?